Another banger. Make a bomb, make a bomb, 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 make a bomb, make a keep a bomb, bomb, bomb. Your body, kakara, make a bomb, bomb, bomb. On a make it. You love it, I'm a dead to get it. Fine, fine, oh, get it. Watch your love for like it. Why not more, more than your body, you got it. Push it in my dick. I don't see lady love it. Why now, my lady? Tell me what you need about you. I'm a damn easy, baby. I'm gonna give me control. If you want to get alright, I'ma make up my eye. I'ma need that and I go my eye. I'ma need that and do maybe, but I'm gonna say no. Maybe don't go carry it. Maybe I wanna miss you, see you, yeah. Oh, see you, baby. Make a bomb, make a bomb, 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 make a bomb, make a keep a bomb, bomb, make a keep a bomb, 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 on a make a bomb, 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 fine girl. Make you nobody do fine boy like this, so if I hear say once in there, I go vex. Okini, navia, okini, baby, okini, let me, put plenty on you. Okini, navia, okini, baby, okini, let me, put plenty on you.
Yeah, I'm killing them shot. Because I swear God, if I fucking leave them back. Bra, we go to win them like that. Oh, God, boy, I know, be a belly jack. Come on. Yes, on here. Betty money, na. Money, lonely. You making money rush like Indomie. Suppose that you are watching, my lordy. The fish of my Giuseppe's are naughty. Yeah, I'm killing them shot. Because I swear God, if I fucking leave them back. Bra, we go to win them like that. Oh, God, boy, I cannot be a belly jack. You're not tired, fellas, so what's your excuse? It is better just what you can do. We are just a penny to the fetch a coffee. Pile, more one the other of a son. Oh, yeah, who did? Satan, the pile, when I know one more, pull up for one of them, Michelle, won't be a mechanic, this is what you want for. Oh, yeah, hallelujah. Rapita, let us serve it to Suya. Malakoya, let us pass on a beamer. They took us like God, and I see them. Let's put the boat. Mari to park where you couldn't move back to move as I could money coffee chaku. See, I'm killing them shot. Because I swear God, if I fucking leave them back. Back in the days, then they used me to yeah. What's on my wrist, I'm on the keep it that yo. I know they look cool, shit, and they then go, hello. Money, lonely. You making money rush like Toby. Suppose that's now what my lordy. Baby, show my two steps are naughty. Because I swear God, if I fucking leave them back. Rah, we go to win them like that. Oh, God, boy, we can know, yeah, better jack. Yeah, we're killing them shot.
It's STG.
Keep it cool, love, ma. Oh, yeah, wine, ma. Keep it cool, love, ma. Wine, ma. Keep it cool, love, ma.
I wanna be like this. If love can be like this, I wanna do like this. If love can be like this, I don't know we are more. Too much love, we are more. I don't know we are more. Too much love, we are more. Only fair just be loving. Sangitune, ne kudapekao. Sangitune, ne kudapekao. Oh, sangitune, ne kudapekao. tu sangue do negro da África, sangue do negro da África, oh sangue do negro da África, negro de todo mundo. Sangue do negro, sangue do negro de África, oh sangue do negro de África, negro de todo mundo, oh sangue. Sangue do negro de África, oh sangue.
On the beat, boys, tell a clock, make it fire.
Fashion Futures. Are you a designer? Do you love to create? Are you an entrepreneur? African Fashion Week London, in partnership with Henley Business School, Center for Entrepreneurship and Parsons School of Design and Technology program, bring you the Fashion Futures, a certificated online course tailored specifically for Africa-inspired designers. Begin your journey into Fashion Futures. Sign up now to get scholarship for this online course.
Good afternoon. This is Carla Nelson, creator of Black Fashion World Foundation, and I am excited today to bring you Princess Ronke all the way from London. Princess!
Hi, Carla. Good afternoon.
Oh, you look so beautiful. Look at you.
Thank you. So do you. You look beautiful as well.
Oh, I'm so excited about this. Thank you for joining us. And oh my goodness, let's see, it's 2:04 Eastern time. And what time is it in London?
It's 4 minutes past 7.
Oh my goodness. So I'm so glad you could join us. Thank you. I reached out to Princess some time ago, and I'm just so elated. We've been having some pre-conversations about African textiles and some of the events that are going to be coming up. So you want to be sure that you register for the next few sessions. Session 2 will be next week, and then session 3 will be on September 27th. But before we get into that, so I just shared a video about Fashion Future. So if you would tell everyone about your organization there. You are the founder of African Fashion Weeks for both London and Nigeria. So tell everybody about your organization. Tell them about Fashion Futures.
Okay. Good afternoon or good evening, everyone, depending on where you're watching from. I'm Princess Ronke Ademilui, and I'm the founder of Africa Fashion Weeks London and Africa Fashion Week Nigeria, a platform that was created 10 years ago, to promote African designers and also to enable us to promote our heritage, to showcase the African heritage through fashion. I'm so happy this evening to be this afternoon in New York or this evening in London to be collaborating with the Black Fashion World Foundation as we're going to be exploring our motherland, Africa, through fashion today. In Africa, our cloth, our fabrics, and our textiles are more than just a fashion statement. They enable us to pass messages. We use our fashion to tell stories, and our fashion is part of our cultural identity. So thank you for joining us today as we're going to be taking you on a journey, of exploring motherland through fashion.
Yes. So Princess, but there's one thing, you're so humble. There's one thing you did not mention. You are actually a royal princess. You are a descendant of the throne. So look at, she's so humble. So tell everyone about your heritage. I think that just makes you even more the perfect person to be talking with about Africa. So tell them about your grandfather and your heritage.
Thank you, Carla. So I'm a princess of the Ile-Ife kingdom, and my great-grandfather was an Oni of Ife. The first Oni of Ife was Oduduwa, who's the progenitor of the Yoruba race. And I think we have 3 million people of Yoruba ancestry across the world, Nigeria, Ghana, Brazil, Togo, the United States, Cuba, Haiti. I think that we have about 300 million. So I come from that heritage, and I'm a great-granddaughter of one of the past Onis of Ife. And I also work with the current Oni of Ife, His Imperial Majesty Oni Adeyeye Enito Ogunwusi Ojaja II.
I bow to you.
Thank you,
Oh my
Mama.
goodness. Okay, so let's just jump right into the conversation. Um, yes, that is just so impressive, and I think you were sharing with me, which I was amazed. There's about what over 3,000 tribes in Africa.
Over 3,000 tribes, yes.
That's incredible. So I want to share with everybody. One of the reasons I really wanted to have this conversation today is um, the times we're in. My organization, Black Fashion World, we look at fashion, we look at the culture, and we look at it as an artistic expression. I think that we as a people, we use fashion as a way to communicate. I think we use it as a linguistic art form, as I talk about it. Yet for us, there's meaning behind a lot of the things that we do. So really wanted to get into the conversation about this, about our culture. I think the motherland is the perfect place to start. And then honestly, something else that kind of kicked it off is the times that we're in, the times that we're facing, which we'll talk a little bit more about. One of those questions, I saw Congress a few weeks ago wearing Kente cloth, and I thought, yeah, this is the perfect time to have a conversation so we can shed light on our culture and the meaning. So, and do you want me to show the display of the fabric now, or
The Kente, yes. Can we have the Kente video? Yes.
the Kente? Okay, so 1 second.
Yes.
Or you want me to show the fabric map or no?
No, not the map yet.
Okay.
We'll start with the Kente video. The
Okay,
Shaboki one.
so I'm gonna switch over for that. But while I'm talking about that, my question is going to be for you. When we think about most of us, or I won't blame anyone else. When we talk about African textiles, we'd say Kente. But you're going to share with us today that there's more than just the Kente cloth, which I'm so excited to find. But when we talk about that, is it that people think about the Kente cloth because it is the most prestigious, excuse me? Does it hold rank, or why do you think that is that people only talk about the Kente cloth so much?
Okay, so the Kente cloth is from the Ashanti tribe in Ghana. The Kente cloth is associated with royalty. It's and it dates back to the 16th century. Yes, the 1600s. That was when it was first created. It's a hand-woven cloth from start to finish, and it was regarded as an high-end cloth only fit for royalty. Sorry?
Good,
Sorry,
keep going. Do you want me to speed up the video? Oh, no, here it comes. So is there a certain pattern that the Kente cloth itself holds different from everyone else? Or every
Yes.
other piece, I'm sorry.
Okay, yes, there are. Some of the reasons why the Kente cloth is, well known, and so popular, and it's a lot more popular, more than some of the other African fabrics, is that there was a publicity shoot in 1979 in San Diego. It was called an African Heritage Shoot, and all of the models showed up wearing the hand-woven Kente cloth from Ghana. The bright colors and the patterns caught the attention of the media, and the publicity around it was huge. So that was one of the reasons why the Kente cloth has become so popular, as you can see from the colors and the designs in the video. Another one of the main reasons was in 1993, I think about 33 African American students from a university in Pennsylvania used the Kente cloth as a sash on their graduation robe. And since then, a lot of high schools and colleges and universities around the United States, have been adopting the Kente cloth, using it as part of their graduation robe. So I think that those are some of the reasons why the Kente cloth has become so popular. And I would say it could be associated with the influence of the African Americans as well. because the publicity shoot, the sash being used as during graduation as well has highly contributed to the popularity of the Kente cloth, and it's made it like an international fashion statement.
So, and you hit on something when, like you were talking about some of the students using it for graduation and so forth. I've always wondered when that happens, and clearly if it was, I guess you would have said something, but I just want to know myself, when that takes place, is that desecrating the cloth in any type of way when they actually place different words or, cut the fabric and place like American pieces of fabric in it, mixing and matching? Is that okay? Does that go against any of our heritage or meaning behind that?
It doesn't go against any of our heritage, and to me, I see it as a symbol of pride. We're proud in showcasing being associated with our cultural identity, and so yeah, the message that goes with that is that it's a symbol of pride, and the African Americans are proud to be associated with the African cloth, the Kente cloth.
Yes, we are. We are. And talk about that too, because are there any, would you say, any type of knockoffs of African fabric? And if so, is there a way that we can tell?
Okay, so the authenticity of the kente cloth can be determined by the way it has to be hand woven. If it's an classic authentic kente, it has to be hand woven, and it has to be the inside and the outside has to be the same. So when you turn it around, there's no differences in the threading. The thread in the opposite sides must be the same. Although we do have the printed version, a lot of what you see on the runway now is the printed version of the kente, and it's an imitation, so it doesn't classify it as an original kente. The original kente is always and must be hand woven.
Ah, okay, okay. And talk about, can you share, when you say hand woven, what type of process is that? How long, does it take to make, and what's the average size, if there's any average size, there might not be, of the kente cloth? Is that an overnight process? Is that a couple of weeks?
I I don't know how long it takes to weave it, but I know comparing it with the Nigerian ashoke, because we have a similar fabric in Nigeria as well that we call the ashoke fabric, which is hand woven as well, and that would take it takes about 6 to 7 hours, and the pieces can be joined together. So I'm sure a similar looming process, is what they use in making the kente as well.
Okay. Do you want me to pull up the Ashoke?
Okay, yes, you can pull up the Ashoke,
Okay.
and let's talk about the Ashoke.
Let's see if I can get over there really quickly. Trying to drive here. I'm loving this system though. Oops.
And history even has it that the kente was created by two brothers back in Ghana in the 16th century, and they were actually inspired by a spider spinning a web.
Really?
Yes.
Is
So
this tell me if I've got the right one. Make sure I got the right one.
yeah, so this is the Ashoke, yes, which is similar. A similar process is used, the looming process is used when making the kente as well. So they're all hand woven, constructed from start to finish with the hands on a loom.
Let me move. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Oh my gosh, look at that.
Yeah, so that's the Ashoke. And while the kente is regarded as one of the most well-known African fabrics internationally, and it's prestigious to Ghana as well because it's associated with royalty, the Ashoke also dates back to the 11th century in Nigeria. It was initially made with hand-processed cotton. The cotton was then made into thread, and then the thread was used to make the Ashoke. The weaving process is done by Yoruba women and men because they see the process as a thing of pride, of the Yorubas, and it's passed from one generation to the other. The Ashoke, for me, I call it a timeless piece, and it serves as an identity maker for the Yoruba people across the world, because every occasion, from royal coronations to weddings to funerals, inaugurations, baby dedications, they always involve a piece of the ashoke. You know, wearing an ashoke piece if you're from the Yoruba tribe. And other tribes as well who are not Yoruba have also adopted the ashoke wearing for some of their occasions as well.
Wow.
Yes. This is one of our first ladies in Nigeria wearing the ashoke here. She's the first lady of Kwara State, and she's at the forefront of promoting this indigenous textile, you know, which is our rich cultural heritage. So
oh my goodness, look at this.
There, that's the looming process.
Have you ever, I'm thinking probably not, but have you ever experienced doing that process?
I've seen them doing it, so I've been close to people doing it, watching how they do it. But I haven't. That's the first lady wearing it, Her Excellency Miss Dr. Olufolake Abdulrazak, wearing the ashoke on the runway, the first lady of Kwara State. And all Yoruba kings and queens, you know, wear ashoke because it's a thing of pride to them. There's no Yoruba king or queen who hasn't been seen wearing the ashoke from the Yoruba tribe. And then I remember as well in the 70s, Her Royal Highness, the ceremonial Queen Mother of Lagos State, who is known as the Erelu, she was the first African to open a store on the prestigious Bond Street in London. And in that store, she was selling ashoke. And she had clients, you know, who came as far as the Middle East to come and purchase the ashoke from her. So it's a timeless piece, you know, from the Yoruba culture, the same way the Kente is with the Ashanti culture in Ghana.
So now, and this is it might sound silly, but this is why I'm doing this, because if you don't know, ask. Placing this, you know, these apparel, when you're putting it on, are there any, and I know in the second session we will talk about, you know, the ceremonies and what attire to wear for what and when and status, but are there any certain types of guidelines as far as putting the apparel on, or any rituals and how you should put it on and how it's worn? Like I always see her, like, okay, I lost the picture where she was wearing it to the side. It's just always so unique. I don't know how you place it there and keep it there. Talk about that a little bit.
There aren't any rituals, you know, guiding how you put on the ashoke or the kente fabric. But for men, they wear it with they tie the I think I sent you pictures of the man wearing the kente fabric, you know, where they tie it around their shoulder.
Okay.
Yeah, so they tie it around, yeah, they tie it around their shoulder, you know, on top of whatever they're wearing. And for the female, they wrap it around their waist as a wrap. But right now, because we have so many printed versions of the kente, there's a lot has evolved from it. It's, you know, so many people are making so many things. Yeah, for a long time, the hand-woven kente, it was only worn by kings, and it was just exclusive to the royal court, you know.
Wow.
Yes, but right now, a lot of people are wearing it. Like I said, the men wrap it around their body and tie it over the left shoulder, while the women just wear it, they tie it around their waist.
And so, and you just hit on this a little bit, but are some of the patterns tied to different tribes?
Yes. In Africa, I think we could bring the map of Africa.
Okay.
The fabric map of Africa that we have.
Stop that one real quick. And okay. Wish I could get that a little bit larger, but go ahead.
So if you look at this beautiful fabric map of Africa that was recently created by Mia Cora, it shows the different African countries and some of our indigenous fabrics. Africa is a continent made up of 54 countries and has up to 3,000 tribes. And each tribe, we all have our own unique fashion culture. While the Kente and the Ashoke are a few of the highest ranking fabrics from the African tribe, because they've been worn, because they've been reserved for royalty when they were initially created. We have so many other fabrics as well, thousands of fabrics, within the African continent. For instance, we have the adire, the indigo dyed cloth. I don't know if we could bring up the video of the adire.
One moment. Keep talking. I'll bring that. And but one question for you while I'm bringing that up. Is it okay if this map that we have here that I share with others later, if anybody wants to have a copy of the map?
Well, if they want a copy of the map, I think it can be found at Miakora, at Miakora. They could find it on her Instagram page. So she was the one who just created this fabric of the map of Africa. So
Okay.
it would be good to refer them to her page. And I think she also has pieces for sale, printed pieces of the map as well for sale.
Okay.
Yes. So we're now talking about the adire fabric, which is another fabric from the Yoruba tribe in Africa. It initially started as an indigo dyed cloth that was created by a Yoruba woman in the 19th century. The cloth was used in the cloth that was used in the dye process then was called the teru cloth, and back then it was considered as a cloth for the commoners. So you wouldn't see the royalty wearing the adire cloth back then, and however, it became so popular in Nigeria. The adire cloth became so popular in Nigeria because a lot of traders and buyers from across Africa would come into Africa, into Nigeria, into Abeokuta, the southwest of Nigeria, to purchase this adire cloth. And that allowed it, to be spread around the African continent. And I think more interestingly as well, in 1960, during the peace conference, there was a war in Nigeria in 1960, a civil war. It's known as the Biafran War. And this adire piece, this adire textile was used as a peace-making symbol.
Really?
So, yeah, it was used as a peacemaking symbol in 1960. It became a symbol of peace and freedom. And over the years, the adire has evolved into so many different colors. A lot of new generation, as you can see, of designers have played around with the textiles, creating so many pieces for dignitaries and celebrities. And on a few occasions, I've seen the past First Lady of the United States, Michelle Obama, wearing adire, and the legendary singer Beyonce as well. I've seen her rocking this adire piece as well.
And now, and since you brought that up, my girl, Beyonce, have you seen her Black is King? I think it's Black is King. Have you seen that?
I have seen it. I think it's amazing. She showcases African heritage to the T. It's so on point, and I love it so much.
Oh my gosh. Are there any, and I know I didn't even think about this earlier, so thank you so much because that's my girl. But are there any, I'm just seeing it streaming through my head now, are there any particular pieces that you would mention that you can remember that she has in that video?
Oh wow, she had so many. I can't remember any from the top of my head, but she had
That's unfair. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she had so many amazing pieces in that video.
Yes. And since and bringing that up, and I know we briefly talked about this just a little bit the other day. You shared with me, but I think it's fair for other people too, because they may be questioning this and of course we definitely want to pay our respects to Chadwick Boseman's family. But when we think about Black Panther, and the attire they wear there, would you be willing to share with me, your thoughts on, their attire in Black Panther? Was it traditional in the sense, did they do anything, kind of sort of along the lines?
I think African fashion has evolved. So what they did was amazing, and what they used, although a lot of the costumes they used there were not traditionally African, but you could see them trying to blend and mix a lot of African cultures together, and that for me was really, really amazing in what they were doing. And at one point they did showcase the Kente there. I did see the Kente as part of the Black Panther, movie. So for me, that was amazing.
Oh gosh. Okay. All right. So, should I show the next? What is it? The wax piece? Should I show that as well?
I think we should talk a bit about the patterns of the kente
Okay.
as well, the
Okay.
colors, the patterns. Yes.
All right. Should I bypass the? I'm gonna put this stream up, and you tell me.
Okay, so that's the Ashoke, and that's one of our royal kings in Nigeria. His Royal Majesty, the Elegushi of Ikate land in Lagos, and that's him with his queen Sekinat, and they're wearing the Ashoke here. I mentioned earlier that it's a cloth for royalty, and all kings and queens, Yoruba kings and queens of the southwest of Nigeria, always wear the Ashoke. Here's one of the pictures of our king and queen wearing the Ashoke. Yes, so these are some of the patterns and the colors. And this is the kente. We're back to the kente now. With the kente, the colors and the patterns, they have a lot of meanings. And I'm going to talk about some of the colors and what they mean now. The color blue means peace, harmony, and love. The color green means growth and harvest. When you see the color gold, it means royalty and wealth. The color gray means healing and cleansing. Black is for a funeral or for when someone is mourning. And the color white is for festivals and purifications, while the color yellow, something that we have now, is for prosperity and richness. So the occasion one is wearing the kente to will determine what color to wear. So for instance, you won't be seen wearing a yellow kente to a funeral. That would be something proper. So you would have to there's a black kente, which signifies funeral or mourning. So the black kente is what would be ideal or proper to wear to a funeral if you decide that you do want to wear kente to a funeral.
Would you, for me, and someone else may be wanting this too, would you run through those colors and the meanings once again that they represent?
In Africa, storytelling represents a big part of our culture, and it reflects on the patterns of our fabric. If you look at the one we have on screen here, it says to err is human. So in other words, we're trying to put out a message that we must always forgive. And that's what this is what this one signifies. And the next one, so this one says we must always have a forgiving spirit. So without saying anything, we're able to communicate this message through the storytelling on our fabric, on the kente fabric.
Wow. So in Africa, you would be wearing, forgive my grammar, if I were wearing this garment, that's what I would be communicating to someone.
Yes, you especially if you wanted to communicate it to someone. But like I said, over the years, there have been so many printed versions of the kente, and these designs are not purely hand woven as well. But back then, traditionally, if you were wearing this and you were going to, you were going to see someone, the message you were trying to put out there is for the person to have a forgiving spirit. So you might have been trying to settle a conflict between two people, and you wear this fabric. So what you're trying to tell both of them is to have or to adopt a forgiving spirit.
Oh my gosh, that's wow. So before you even approach them, you're projecting that piece.
Projecting that piece, so they know why you're coming. You're telling them to forgive each other.
Okay, I'll go to the next one. That's incredible. I mean, wow. Okay. And this garment, tell us, please share with us, Princess, about this one.
Um, this one, this one talks about the need for diversity and unity. So the message on this is talking about diversity and unity, so how we should like inclusion, how we should tolerate and embrace each other and include each other, in whatever we do. So that's what this one is saying.
I tell you, I'm even more convinced now. I'm so glad we did this first session. I can only imagine what the other sessions are going to hold. So everybody be sure that you do register. You can go to our calendar page if you haven't already registered and registered for the next 2 sessions. But I'm just even more convinced now that our fashion for us as African American people originally was and is a linguistic art form. I
Yes.
mean, you're telling us this right here.
Yes, if you look at this, it says you would wear this when there's a crisis or a conflict and you're trying to bring harmony or unity to the community. So, and this is the message this is putting out. So, imagine everyone in the community wearing this where there is conflict. There will be the spirit of forgiveness, togetherness, unification.
That's incredible. Okay, and then we have this garment.
When you so this one is a very, very funny one. The meaning is money attracts blood relations. So when you have money, you're supposed to extend it to your family. So if you have a rich relative and you're wearing this cloth and you go to pay them a visit, automatically the person must embrace you with their wealth and make exactly. So this is what this one is saying.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Yes. So when we have money, we must share it, extend it to our family.
Wow. Okay, if we must. And now on the flip side of that question, Princess, if someone wears that garment and they don't extend that wealth, then what happens?
I don't know what would have happened back then, but like I said, we've got so many prints have evolved from the original Kente. So I don't think a lot of people pay too much attention to the messages that are behind these iconic prints.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next one.
Yeah, and this one signifies strength, resilience, power, and toughness as well. So maybe where someone is downcast and you're trying to like strengthen the person, or you're trying to like just tell the person to have more, believe more in themselves. This will be the type of fabric that you would give the person or you would wear when you're going to see someone like that. And these were, I'm talking about back then. Like I said now, a lot of prints have evolved from our traditional, fabrics and the messages now, I don't think a lot of people really, hold the messages in high esteem anymore. I know with the colors, yes, with the colors we can still tell people that with yellow this is what it signifies. When you're wearing the black, this is the occasion you should wear it to. But I'm not so sure with the messages. Yes.
What do you think? Because what you're sharing with us, these messages are very important. What do you think it would take to get us back to that messaging? Do you think, back up? Let me ask, the first question really is, do you think with fashion, I have my own opinion, but do you think with fashion we've kind of forgotten about the messaging, the purpose of it?
I,
Go
I
ahead.
think so because African clothing allows us to communicate information about the tribe we belong to. It's easy to identify someone or which part of Africa they come from through their fashion or fabric. And I call it the African clothing communication. So I think along the line, we've kind of lost, the ability that enables us to communicate through our textiles, our fabrics, the meanings, the symbols, the patterns, and so on.
And go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Other fabrics as well, like the adire as well, they also have patterns that they use to communicate messages. So this is, I think this is a thing across Africa. When you look at the adire, the tie and dye fabric, the cowries on it represent money and wealth. The talking drum would represent festivals and messages as well. There's one that has the pattern of a mirror, and this is when you're passing a message of someone whose reflection is a life of your own, you know. And then the guinea corn symbol on the adire fabric as well is saying that the hand that feeds you would never lack. So yeah, so yeah, so our history is it's amazing, and the way we communicate it through our textiles is just out of this world. History even has it, and this is talking about the Adire and the Yoruba tribe as well, that the actual origin of the Yoruba pattern dyeing being used as a symbol of communication was actually a spiritual inspiration from the deity of wisdom, the Yoruba deity of wisdom, who was known as Orunmila. That he got that inspiration on what type of dye to use and what type of symbols to use when passing out messages.
This is incredible. Princess, and I don't want to I'm getting excited. I don't want to go too far ahead, but are you all, if I understood correctly, and correct me as I say this, if I'm stating this incorrectly, if I understood, you all are working on a project that will detail some of this information? Was it a fabric wall?
Yeah, no, we're working on an archiving library that will be able to archive all our textile, our fabrics, you know, the modern ones, the ancient ones, the traditional ones, the royal ones as well. So my team and I at the Africa Fashion Week are working on that, and we hope to launch it by next year. So
Okay.
it will be like a digital library. And if you're looking for any information about any African fabric, you know, the messages, the symbols, the patterns, you would be able to go there, because we don't have anything like that at the moment.
Okay, that is phenomenal. And when Princess shared that with me, I thought, oh my gosh, can I share this? And she permitted me to share it with you all. So you all in the US, or if you're not in the US, you're first hearing about this. If you want to donate, at the bottom of the screen, there's at AFW London. So how you can follow Princess Ronke and stay in touch with her, make donations to that project. I think, no, it's not, I think, I'm positive, you know, based upon the information that we've just heard in this short amount of time, that this is information that is very important to our culture. Tremendously, you know, and as we talk about that, I'm just curious now. I know there's like ancestor.com, how you can trace your roots, and I'm curious now to know if there's any way I can trace my roots back to my tribe and find out what garments, are applicable to my tribe. I really want to know that. If as you're developing that, if there's a way that I can do that, please let me know. Or is it mainly just to find out the name of the tribe and then go from there? I mean, I don't know. I'm all excited.
And one of the reasons why we also think the digital archiving is important to us as well is each tribe in Africa, as I mentioned, we have about 3,000 or more tribes in Africa. Each tribe has its own unique, they have their own patterns. Each fabric has its own symbols, and the symbols of the pattern of one tribe is so peculiar to that tribe, and it's different from another tribe. And no matter how close they are to each other, even if they border each other, the way Nigeria and Ghana is, we're close to each other, we share a similar border, but the patterning, the symbols, and the messages of our fabrics are so different. They're totally different because they apply to the everyday social life of each tribe. So you won't see one tribe, having a similar symbol or a message that they're trying to put out there through their fabrics. They all differ.
Incredible. Incredible. And see, I have a couple more questions, and then we have some questions that are coming in. For a lot of people, as I mentioned earlier today, a few weeks ago when Congress came out and they meant no harm, none. They were, this was around the time when George Floyd, when the video was revealed, and they were trying to appease to us, but they were wearing Kente cloth. And so, a lot of times you see Kente cloth shawls, the scarf, you see it in a different ways, which I'll come back to that. But is there, according to African tradition, were they doing anything wrong in wearing that garment?
I can only speak for myself here, but personally, I did not see it as anything wrong. I saw it as an act of unity. Remember, I mentioned how the Adire fabric became a symbol of peace in Nigeria in the 1960s. Nigeria has 300 or more tribes. The Adire fabric is only is a Yoruba fabric, but all the other tribes were able to embrace it because of the intention behind it being used as a symbol of peace and unity. And I think it's the intention of Congress that that we should look at, rather than hold them responsible for not wearing, or for wearing what they're not. A lot of people said they shouldn't be wearing it, shouldn't be worn by them, but I think it was the intention. And also bearing in mind as well that the Kente is the most popular African fabric. It's the most popular African fabric thanks to the African Americans.
I just happened to think, as we were talking about the symbolism, I thought about Kwanzaa, which I don't think, and I honestly don't know the full history of Kwanzaa. I can't say that I've started paying more attention to it in recent years, but are there any that you're aware of, any particular fabrics for Kwanzaa that would, go along with the statements that they're making in Kwanzaa?
Not at the moment, no, but it's something that we could research as well and maybe talk about in another session.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Speaking of that, let's see. I've got a couple of questions for you. Actually, they're coming in. So Princess, well, first, before I take this, did you have any other statements that you wanted to make before I dive into the questions?
No, dive into the question.
Okay. And, thank you for being so, just so warm in receiving these. One question came in. What was the name of the Instagram page where we can get the fabric map?
That would be Kiamora, Kia. Hold on, let me just check to make sure I'm giving you the right one.
Kiamora, okay.
Kiamora, I think so. No, Mia Cora, Miakora, Mia Cora. Mia Cora Limited, yes.
Oh, okay. Michael gave it to me, so I'm going to copy it and paste it in the chat. Okay. All right. Someone asked, are we at a place where other cultures can wear these garments and not be? So I'm going to hold that question because in session 3, we are going to talk about cultural appropriation. So I'm going to hold that question until then. We had a brief conversation on cultural appropriation. I think you want to hear what Princess has to say. So I'm going to hold that one. What is the name of the fabric for commoners? Is there a fabric for commoners?
The Adire back then, traditionally was the fabric for commoners. But that was then, we're talking about hundreds of years ago. I think right now, everyone could wear, because of there's a lot of cultural exchange, there's a lot of, how do I put it? Because of the African diaspora everywhere. So there's kind of like a mixture of cultures. And I think anyone can wear whichever fabric they wish at the moment, especially with the printed versions. There's so many printed versions of the Kente, the Adire, even the Dutch wax as well. That was the adopted fabric of Africa. There's so many around. So I don't think there's any cloth for the commoners anymore. That was during the hierarchy of the kings. Right now, I would wear anything.
Okay. So, do we see concerns in printing of this fabric being done now? Oh boy, I think we're going to touch on that later too. I'll read the question. Do we see concerns in the printing of this fabric being done now in China more so than in Africa? How do we manage this? I'll put that question up.
Okay, do we see concerns of the printing of the fabric? Yes, we do see concerns. It really concerns us, and I know in Nigeria it's something that the government is looking at, and that is why we are trying to we try to promote our indigenous fabrics, because initially before the printed fabrics came to Africa, what we had was the weaving and the dyed fabrics. That was what we were using. But I think I would say, was it then hold on, let me just check my notes to make sure that this is the information I'm giving is right.
Let me see.
Sorry?
Go ahead. I was looking at Michael's comment. He says the crippling of local textile manufacturing industries.
Yes, it's really crippling the local textile manufacturing industries. The wax cloth actually came into Africa, I think, in the 19th century. Before then, we had our own, each tribe had its own weaving, dyeing process. But then the printed versions, so what they would do then, the Europeans would come and they would take our patterns and then make printed versions and then bring it back, to come and sell to Africa. And the printed versions, yes, they were cheaper. So it started with the Europeans, and now the Chinese have started as well. And it's really crippling the local textile manufacturing industry. And this is what Her Excellency, the First Lady of Kwara State that I spoke about, Kwara State in the northwest of Nigeria. She's at the forefront of reviving the local weaving textile industry.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. I have another question. Someone asked if any of this information that you've been sharing, Princess, because it's rich information, is available in print anywhere. Are there any, and if not right now, maybe for one of the other sessions, if there are any certain books that people should reference to find out any of this information?
Yes, there are a few books, and I would send you the links of the books, and you can share it with whoever wants to know more about it. But there are a few articles and books, talk about this and highlight a few of what I've said as well. So yes, there are a few books, and we're still going to be developing more books, especially on the communicating industry of the African fashion, how we've used African fashion to communicate, and how we should still use it to communicate.
Okay.
Because I think that process is dead already, and I think we should try to revive it.
Right. Then this question is, to what extent is fashion making a political statement?
To what extent is fashion in making a political statement? Well, I know back in Nigeria, a lot of politicians, when they want to make a statement, they have their printed fabrics, that they use to pass that political statement. If there's a political leader that they want to put out there, you would see the picture of that political leader and the statement that the political leader is trying to make, some of the messages that the political party or the political leader is trying to put out there on some of the fabrics. So it does go a long way in political statements. I feel it does. What do you think, Carla?
I definitely think so. I'm sure, especially now, we're seeing garments with the names of I think I shared on my Facebook page last night, page with Naomi Osaka. I hope I'm saying her name correctly. If I'm not and she hears this, please forgive me. She's playing in sports. And so on her mask, she had the different names of individuals who have been killed. You have Pierre Moss, who's in fashion, and he's at a place now where on the runway he can use the fashion to make these statements. You have the shirts. When we still have, thank goodness that they're out, the Central Park 5, and everybody's wearing the shirts with their names listed. So definitely, I think it is making a statement. I think when you go back to what I understand the quote of Martin Luther King being talking about violence, how that is a language of people that are unheard. I think that a lot of times some of us who are not, I mean, like myself right now, having a history of bronchitis, I'm not out protesting. But, there's different ways of protest. And I think that using fabric, using clothing as a linguistic art form is definitely one of our ways of making a political statement about how we feel and should be treated.
Yeah, and these are one of the things that we teach at our Fashion Futures courses as well. That we use digital fashion to teach students how to do prints, and then on some of the prints, they can put their messages on some of those prints. And in collaboration with Henley's Business School UK and the Parsons Design School New York, we have an education program that teaches a lot about the future of fashion, and also how to use fashion in a political statement as well.
Which is awesome. And how do people who are interested in that program, do they just reach out to your organization, or do they reach out to Parsons, or both?
No, they reach out to our organization because it's specially designed for the Africa Fashion Week London, and we have scholarships as well that we're offering. And the next, we had our first set of graduates, fashion students who graduated in June, and the next one starts on the 19th of November.
Awesome.
So they can register via our website, africafashionweeklondonuk.com. It's a 6-day course, and it teaches them about the future of fashion, the digital fashion, the new technologies, political statements in fashion, and a lot of things.
I put the registration information in the comments for anyone who is listening now. I believe I'm going to try to make sure that these comments are saved so they are there. But anyone, again, you can, let me fix it. You can reach out to myself and I can connect you with the organization. But at the same time, you can reach out directly. You can follow Princess Ronke. It's on the bottom of the screen at AFW London. Princess, this has been phenomenal. I'm trying to see. And I think you've already addressed this, but I do have the question, and this really, I probably should hold it. This will really lead into one of the conversations that we're going to have in future weeks about the fact, do you think that if a person doesn't necessarily understand the meaning behind our fabric, or respect the fact that for us as African Americans, there is a meaning behind it, they should maybe hold off on wearing the garment? What are your thoughts?
Could you repeat that question again, please?
Yes. So I want to make sure I state it right.
Okay.
If a person, and really, I guess this goes with the cultural appropriation, but I'll go ahead and ask it. Do you think that people, if they're not really understanding of the meaning behind the fabrics, the African fabrics, that they should maybe not wear the fabric, or that it's okay for them to wear it?
I think it's okay. The world is now a global village, and textiles from different parts of the world, through cultural, assimilation, are being used by even non-African designers. We see designers who translate fabrics from one culture to another. With the Kente pieces that we showed in the beginning in the video, you could see some kimono-inspired Japanese kimono jackets, but being made with the Kente fabric. So I really do not think, because of where we are now, because of at the stage where we are, where there's a lot of mixture, among the cultures. I don't think anyone should be limited from wearing, any fabric they want to wear, as long as they don't wear it in a derogatory way. Then I don't think, I don't see it as a problem. And over the past years, 40 or 50 years now, the Kente cloth and other African fabrics as well, you see them in pieces like bags, hats, furniture, a lot of accessories are being made out of these, so they're available to everyone.
Right. Okay, this has been so good. Thank you so much, Princess. And I know, so next week we will be talking about, what attire to wear for what occasion, what status, and what role. You want
Yes.
to give us a little snippet? Well, and
Sorry?
I think you kind of have given us a snippet of some of that. Like you talked about weddings.
About
Um,
weddings,
yeah,
funerals, yes, naming ceremonies, baby dedications, inaugurations, royal coronations. We all have fabrics for different occasions, and we also have the uniform fabric, which we call the Yorubas call it the Ashwebi, which we'll talk about, in the next session.
okay.
Yeah.
And then week 3, we're going to talk about cultural appropriation.
Appropriation, yes. We'll talk about cultural appropriation, what it means to us, and yes.
And I have this thing. Some people say cultural appropriation, and then some people say cultural misappropriation. So I want to ask you about that when we talk in week 3. So this has
Okay.
been this has been phenomenal. Are there any additional questions before we close out from anyone in the audience? Let me see if okay. I know there's a little bit of a delay, so I wanted to wait 1 second just to see. But while we're waiting, Princess, do you have any closing statements?
I'd just like to thank you, Carla, for reaching out to us, and for having me, talk about the African heritage through fashion. I would also like people to remember the Kente that was once a traditional, piece has now become a timeless piece and a global fashion statement. So when people wear the kente, I would like them to remember how, it was inspired, by a spider spinning a web, and then it was adopted by the Ashanti king who made it a cloth of the royalty. How from that it's also been transformed into academia, being used as a sash by African American students who graduate, and how it's an endless timepiece.
Awesome. Okay. With that, I'm not seeing, let's see if I have, oh, there is another question.
Okay.
How important is diasporic, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that, so I'll start over. How important is diasporic relations in the preservation of heritage, upholding respect for our African traditions and history? I guess we'll close out with that one.
How important is the diaspora relations in the preservation of culture? I think it's very important. And I know at Africa Fashion Week London, what we do is we don't just showcase fashion on the runway. We make sure we encourage our designers to showcase their heritage as well. We encourage them to showcase the importance of their heritage on the runway, because that allows people to know the origin, the origin behind the textiles they're using, the authenticity, where it's from. It allows them to speak about where they're from, but without even speaking, without even saying anything. It allows them to pass a message through their pieces on the runway without even saying anything. So I think it's very important that the diaspora should uphold, the preservation of our culture. And I think the African Americans have done a brilliant job with the kente, especially with the kente, they really made it a global fashion piece.
Awesome. Princess?
Thank you. Thank you, Carla.
Next week. Thank you so very much. So
Thank you,
everybody,
Carla.
thank
I
you.
look
Everybody,
forward to our next session.
oh, I'm excited because everyone just gets deeper, so I love it.
Thank you. Thank
Have an
you.
awesome Sunday, everyone.
Thank you.